The 2025-26 season is finally here. Manchester United will be hoping for a much more uplifting campaign this time around. Today we're going to be looking at how this fella, but also these guys, can hopefully see United have a better season, but why also it still won't be perfect. Now we are not going to waste any time at all today because there is so much to talk about when it comes to United this season. We're going to start off in the first phase with Manchester United on goal kicks, because we know that we struggled in this area last season. In terms of teams giving the ball away in dangerous areas, like in these positions, United done it the second most. United's pass completion in the first phase was the second worst in the Premier League. We quite simply didn't move the ball very well in this particular position. And one of the main reasons for that was because of these two often moving into midfield. So the central centre-back inverts himself into midfield alongside someone like Casemiro or Ugarte. We know that's not particularly press resistant, and unfortunately it does appear as though this may be continuing for United this season. So we're starting off with a bit of a negative, but don't worry, there are plenty of positives coming up as well. But United may still have a problem here. Potentially the signing of someone like Carlos Baleba would change that if he does sign for the club, but I still think United will have some problems playing out in the first phase. So instead what we will do is we will try and move the ball out wide. The likes of Yoro and Santa Martinez when he's fit will be important, as will the wing backs dropping into deeper positions, trying to get on the ball and trying to give United that way out. What's more likely though is actually a more direct game. We saw last season Onana did attempt quite a lot of long balls from goal kick situations, and I'm expecting something quite similar this season. That's not necessarily a negative, by the way, or a criticism. It's just a different way of playing. I think over the past few years in the Premier League, we've become used to this shorter football. I don't think we're going to see loads of it from United, unless we sign Baleba. That would change it. But I think as it is, we will see a more direct Manchester United team. Fortunately, we've got Benjamin Sesko up front, someone who is 6'5" and acts as a tactical backboard, which means you can send the ball up long to him. He's going to look after it, he's going to protect it, and he's going to bring people into the game. So Sesko will help Manchester United massively going over the opposition's high press. What's important after that, though, is the second ball. United have to be better in this position here. We can see United's second ball numbers from last season. Some players simply weren't good enough when it came to these situations. Bruno Fernandes was the best. Unfortunately, this system will put him in second ball territory. So Sesko will go up for the first ball, this second ball will drop. Bruno Fernandes is the sort of player that needs to be in those situations. Again, and perhaps it's the reason we are being linked with a move for Carlos Baleba, because he was very good in second balls last year. But I think Mbeumo and Cunha can also contribute. I think they can be players that are looking to get on the ball in these situations. And if United are able to get onto that second ball, win possession in this position, then I really think we've got a dangerous option. With Sesko, Cunha and Mbeumo being runners, it's a lot to aim for, and it could mean that we will probably still struggle in the first phase because Amorim's system isn't the greatest, in my opinion, in this position. But when we go over, we go more direct, we play on the seconds and then play through, United could be really, really dangerous. Now, the next thing to discuss is when United have the ball in more controlled moments. Control is a word that Ruben Amorim uses a lot. He wants Manchester United to be a team that get on the ball for long, sustained periods of play, to try and move the ball forward, progress the ball, and try and break the opposition down. But ultimately, he is looking for control to look after the ball. Will Manchester United be good at that this season? I think we can be at times, and I think we have some really useful ways of moving the ball forward due to some of the patterns that Ruben Amorim has been using ever since he's been at the football club, and particularly in pre-season. One thing that we have been seeing a lot from United is the idea of moving the ball forward initially, or potentially out wide, drawing the opposition fullback out. So we are seeing wide starting positions from the Manchester United wing-backs, of course Ahmad and Dorgu, starting wide, receiving the ball to drag opposition fullbacks just a little bit higher up the pitch. What United look to do next is then feed the ball inside into someone like Casemiro or Bruno Fernandes or Kobbie Mainoo, Ugarte. It could be any of these guys. And then we're seeing a hooked ball into the channel. So this ball here, hooking the ball into that channel there. And the reason why United are looking to do this is to move the ball quickly forward into these spaces to allow the likes of Mbeumo to quickly, directly get at the opposition. And I think Mbeumo will be a very useful player for us in this aspect this season. I think he's a bit of a game changer because of his running power, his relentless running nature as well, but also his threat on the ball. We know once he gets into the final third in these positions, he's a very, very dangerous player. Something else that United will try and do more this season is have the ball under more control for longer, more sustained spells, which means the likes of Ahmad and Dorgu will then move a little bit further forward. We will try and control the ball. We will try and dominate possession and keep the ball moving forward. The question here is going to be United's actual ability to move the ball through the press. What we saw a lot last season was this sort of horseshoe of doom, I kept referring to it as. So we take this back five, so it's the wing back, centre back, centre back, centre back, wing back. United had a lot of problems last season, just sort of moving the ball around the back in these positions, getting stuck over here, then moving the ball back round, and we just kept doing that. What United will be looking to do this season is to move the ball forward more regularly, and I think a method of doing this will be via ball carrying. Last season, Manchester United were pretty average with their ball carrying numbers in the Premier League. However, with signings like Cunha and Mbeumo, that could potentially change. These two are excellent at driving forward with the ball, and what they will do is bring tactical gravity to the heart of the pitch. And what I mean by that is they draw people's attention, particularly someone like Cunha. When you get a player like him on the ball, who can drive forward with the ball, he can win 1-versus-1 situations, he can win 1-versus-2 situations. What it does is it causes opposition players to come towards him. So let's say the opposition are in a fairly safe block at the time. Someone like Cunha has that ability to pick the ball up and drive through. And what this does is it causes opposition players to crowd towards him. That's where United can potentially open up space for other people to then have more space. To really make the most of this, what United will try and do is draw the opposition over to one side of the pitch before then trying to find the spare 10. So for example, let's say Ahmad on the ball on the right hand side. Naturally, Manchester United players will move towards the ball, particularly in this box in the middle, and what we will try and do is get the opposition to drift over to the side of the pitch with us. In these situations, United will need to be secure technically, and I think we are more secure than what we were last season. I think we've got better technicians on the pitch, although it's still not perfect. But I think we've got better technicians in these areas, and what we will try to do is find that spare 10 on the far side. Cunha with the ball carrying ability, with someone like Patrick Dorgu going around on the overlap. These are the moments where United will be most dangerous against the mid blocks. Now, of course, there will also be games where Manchester United are facing a low block. United will have a lot of the ball, and it will be a challenge of trying to break down the opposition. The reason why we will see this is because Manchester United have quality footballers. Quality footballers have the chance to look after the ball, gain territory, and force the opposition back. Once in these situations, it's a question of patience, but also tempo and breaking down the opposition. In these moments, I'm a little bit uncertain about Manchester United. I've expressed my concerns already about the lack of pass-first midfielder, someone who really dictates and dominates the tempo of a game. So I think what we will be looking for more regularly, more reliably from United is these two wider zones. And we've seen in pre-season a lot aggressive wide centre-backs. So that will be Leny Yoro, I would imagine, for most of the season on the right-hand side stepping forward. And when fit, I would imagine that's going to be Lisandro Martinez on the left. And what United will look to do is see wide combination play in these positions. We know that down the right, Ahmad and Mbeumo are players that will look to interchange. Going to take a little bit of time to get that right, but if they do, that could be really exciting to watch those two playing together. On the other side, we've got Dorgu and Cunha. Again, players that will interchange. So sometimes Dorgu will go wide, Cunha will be in the middle, but there will also be situations where Dorgu is going to come inside because that is sort of his instinct. What United will be looking for here is the ability to move the ball at speed, to move it quickly through the pitch into the final third. And ultimately, I always feel that what we're trying to create is cutback situations. So when we get the ball in a position like this, we move it towards the byline to an underlapping run, and then we look for the cutback back across the penalty area. Benjamin Sesko will be looking to thrive off of those opportunities, hopefully scoring some tap-ins along the way this season, but also he will spend a lot of time being a decoy. So he will make the run further forward to take defenders deeper, and then it will be the likes of Ahmad or Mbeumo or Bruno Fernandes or Cunha arriving into this space on the edge to finish into the back of the net. The other thing that United will look try and do against these low blocks is change the direction of the attack. So sometimes that will involve big switches of play. Someone like Leny Yoro on the right-hand side of the fence, picking the ball up and playing a long switch to the far side, Patrick Dorgu. That, of course, changes the direction. But I think what we're looking for, actually, in the final third is slightly more subtle changes of direction due to the nature of the players that we've got in the final third, particularly Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo, with, of course, the added sauce and creativity of Bruno Fernandes in between them. I think what we get with Cunha and Mbeumo in particular, though, is the ability to change direction. Let's say Yoro has the ball on the right-hand side, and again, we try and access the 10 on the far side of the pitch. So that would be Yoro moving the ball from the right side to the left side to Cunha. Cunha is a right-footed player, so whether or not he's playing with his right foot at the time, he'll always look to move back towards the right-hand side. That is his instinct. So he will look to take touches back inside the pitch this way. We know the effect that that's going to have on defenders. It's going to draw them towards the ball in this manner. But because Cunha is right-footed, drifting towards the right, this is the way that he will look to release the ball. Let's say it comes to Brian Mbumo, or perhaps Ahmad in the inside 10 position. This is where, again, player instinct should cause directional changes, because Mbumo or Ahmad are both left-footed. So again, whether or not they actually pass the ball with their left foot, their instinct is going to be to move towards the left-hand side, because that's what they both like to do, you know? I can't really explain it. They're left-footed players. It's how they've always played. It's what they are as footballers. So they will look to move the ball back inside the pitch. And again, what that will do is disorientate the opposition defenders, because one moment they were moving towards the left-hand side, then back towards the right. The ball might go to Cunha now in this moment after we've moved the defence once again. Cunha picks the ball up and comes back inside onto the right. It causes the opposition to chop and change, to shift into positions that they don't want to. And that is where United could be dangerous this season if these guys sort of get the chemistry right between them. Of course, that's going to take time. They've only just joined the club. They haven't really played together properly yet. But if they are able to get something going here, I think we could see goals this season where United find that ball in the middle, lots of changes in direction in quick moments in the centre of the pitch, then quickly slide through someone like Šeško or Cunha or Bruno running off of the shoulder of the opposition. Now, the next thing that we need to focus on is Manchester United off the ball. This segment of the video will be a little bit shorter, because if not, we will be talking forever. But we still have to talk about it, because the out of possession game is so important for a side that's trying to get control. Control isn't just about having the ball, it's controlling where the ball goes when the opposition have it. I think what United will look to try and do this season is use the 4-4-2 shape more regularly. So one of the centre-backs, Lenny Yoro in this example, will move to more of a full-back position, and the wing-backs will stagger. So if we look at Patrick Dorgu over here, a left wing-back will drop a little bit deeper, and our right wing-back, Ahmad, will likely move a little bit further forward. And the reason we want to do this is to get into the 4-4-2 shape, which should allow us to be a bit more aggressive than what we were last season. Allow us to squeeze a little bit higher, and actually at times go man for man, which of course allows us not to be outnumbered in the first phase. Last season it was a bit too easy to play through these phases. I'm hoping there are going to be games this season for United where we squeeze man to man, we're really aggressive, win the ball back nice and high. My only concern with regards to this is the mobility and the ground coverage of the two in midfield. You know, with Bruno Fernandes, you're going to get a lot of work rate and a lot of ground coverage. Casemiro, not so much. And it doesn't seem to me as though Amorim likes starting Ugarte with Bruno. He doesn't seem to like that pairing, so I think it will be these two. And Casemiro certainly lacks something there. So there will be games still where it's a little bit too easy. Regardless of the success of the high press, there will be moments this season where Manchester United have to drop into more of a mid-block, which is sort of when you're in this middle shape, across the middle third of the pitch, you're letting the opposition have the ball, but you're not letting them have too much territory. You don't want them to be able to just walk into the final third. That would be too easy. That would be a problem. United in these situations are more likely to shape up like a back five. So again, it's Ahmad, Yoro, De Ligt, Lisandro Martinez or Dorgu. Again, the personnel could be different. Then we get Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro in midfield, and then we come to our front three playing across the front line. In this shape, I think Manchester United are still likely to be a little bit too passive this season, mainly because of the space behind the two inside forwards, Cunha and Mbumo. If these guys drop deep into a 5-4-1, we can see that Šeško is now incredibly isolated. It'll be very difficult for him to get pressure on the ball. So instead, I would expect Cunha and Mbumo to play a little bit higher. The problem here is there is space outside the Manchester United midfield. So in this position here, there is space for the opposition to move into, and this position here. And again, if we're talking about ground coverage for the United midfielders, that's a lot of work to try and get through. So I do worry about United a little bit in these moments. However, we have seen in pre-season that Amorim could be willing to change. What we saw particularly earlier on in the summer campaign was United picking their moments to be aggressive. So at times it would start off in a 5-2-3 like this, but what we would see is, let's say the ball is over on this side, what we would see is the wing back jumping up to be more aggressive. So rather than sitting in a back five with the rest of the defenders, as this ball comes to a left back, we have seen at times in pre-season the wing back now being more aggressive, really stepping forward. The centre back moves across back into that full back position, and again you can now see that we are in a back four, and again it sort of resembles a 4-4-2. Now the timings of this will be really difficult, but I think if United get this right over the course of the season and gradually improve, and again perhaps bring in more athletic players in midfield, Belabor, then I think this could be quite effective for United. So again, I think particularly against the top opposition, the Manchester Cities, the Liverpools, the Arsenals, I think we will see a passive team, which is a little bit too easy to play against. I think against the rest of the league, though, hopefully United can be more aggressive stepping into this shape. And of course, the final thing that we need to talk about is the low block. There are moments in football, particularly in the Premier League, where the level is so high. There are moments that you have to suffer. You have to let the opposition have the ball. You have to sit back and be compact and be difficult to break down. Manchester United will most likely achieve that this season because we know that Amorim will drop into a back five shape. That's lots of defenders behind the ball, and we will often then see a four in front with Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, Mbeumo and Cunha into this sort of 5-4-1 shape. Now we know that this shape is incredibly passive. It allows the opposition to have spells of dominance, but at least it is compact. There are lots of players behind the ball here, and it's very difficult to move the ball into the United midfield, providing the centre-backs for United are aggressive and stepping out when required. If they do that, United will be difficult to break down in the middle of the pitch because there's a lot of players in this position. Again, if we get snappier players in midfield that can sort of crunch into the tackle and win the ball back, United can be very dangerous in these positions, potentially even counter-attacking from this zone, which we'll perhaps cover in a video another day. But I think United can be compact in these moments. I think we can be relatively difficult to play against, but not impossible, because there will be moments where it's not quite right. Cunha and Mbeumo are not instinctively defensive players. I think they both work fairly hard, but they don't want to spend all day defending their own box because they're forwards. They want to attack. So I think there are moments where United may get exposed in these wide zones, again, sort of outside the United midfielders. So again, we're talking about sort of this space in this area here, and also this space over here. I think United may potentially have a bit of a problem in that zone if we just remove that. So that's something I'm a little bit concerned about. And the bigger concern for me actually from this position is how we then defend the cross into the box. Because if you are giving the opposition time in a half space like this, that ball is going to come in. And I just have a concern at the back post between the wide centre-back and the wing-back. I think there's a little bit of a gap where the opposition can steal in, particularly if you're playing Ahmad as a back post defender. Great footballer, Ahmad. I love him. I love his attitude. He's a great player. He's one of my favourite United players, particularly last season. But he's not a back post defender. So I do fear that United may be a little bit weak there. And even from the other side, as that ball comes into the box, I think the understanding between a back four and a back five is quite different. And I think it is a difficult thing to pick up between the wide centre-back and the wing-back. So the opposition will look to steal into those positions and try and take the ball and potentially header into the net from that back post position. So that is something that I would be a little bit concerned about, which is why, as often as possible, I would like to try and avoid the low block and get into the more aggressive shapes. All in all, I think we can see that United are still far from perfect, but they have improved from last season. We have signed some obvious, serious talent. Mbeumo, Šeško, Cunha, they are great footballers. We may sign more yet. We don't really know at the time of recording. United will be better than they were last season, and I'm actually quietly confident of a good season. I personally would be aiming for the top four, and I think we'll fall just below in a sixth place position perhaps. I think not having European football will be a huge positive. We'll have so much more rest between games. Bruno Fernandes is going to be playing one game a week. That alone is something that should give you confidence as a United fan. It's more time to recover between matches, more time to stay sharp, but also more time on the training pitch, which in theory should see us just getting better and better and better as the season goes on. So I'm confident United are going to have a good year. However, the system is not perfect. I still think there are tactical ideas which concern me a little bit, which is why I can't talk about us in a title race just yet, although I don't think anyone expects that. I think it's one of those seasons again where we should expect a little bit of inconsistency, and if things go badly, I could see a little bit of pressure starting to form on Ruben Amorim, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully we see the positives, we get the midfield signing that we need, and United can sort of blossom and be a team that plays on the front foot, dominates the ball, and also presses. Are we going to see that? I absolutely think we can. I think there's a very good chance we do, but I'm not guaranteeing it because of those passive mannerisms that we still have in the squad. So basically, it's going to be a long season. It's going to be up and down. Get used to being uncomfortable, but also prepare for some really exciting moments this season. I think it's going to be a good one. That is all for today. Hopefully you guys now have a better understanding of what Manchester United are going to be in the Premier League this season. I'm looking forward to it. And of course, here on the channel, we will be covering every single Manchester United game, every single player, every single transfer rumour, everything, we will be talking about it. So if you like talking about United, then please do subscribe to the channel and also get your notifications on so you don't miss a single video. It's going to be a good year, and I think it's best if we are all in it together. So please do subscribe to the channel. But apart from that, we are finished for today. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.